Hi, I'm Dr. Samuel Mitchum, and I'm here to tell you about my latest book, Confederate Patton, Richard Taylor and the Red River Campaign of 1864. Richard Taylor is proof of Napoleon's axiom that in war, as in prostitution, the amateur can sometimes outperform the professional. And certainly Taylor did. He had no previous military experience, although he did grow up on military reservations. His father was General Zachary Taylor, who later became President of the United States. And Taylor, of course, won all those victories in northern Mexico early in the Mexican War. Taylor was probably more like General George S. Patton of World War II fame than anybody else in American history. He was tougher. Patton got in trouble for slapping two men. Taylor court-martialed two of his own men before he saw his first armed Yankee, had them sentenced to death and had them shot. He also court-martialed a regular Army officer for cowardice. It's an axiom in the Civil War that volunteer officers did not court-martial regular Army officers. Richard Taylor never heard of that. He wanted to have him shot for cowardice. His name was Sibley. He escaped conviction, but his career was ruined nonetheless. General Patton was a brilliant officer, but I think Richard Taylor was more brilliant. He took 8,800 men, badly armed and equipped, and defeated a well-equipped Union Army of 32,000 men. He was also possibly more profane. Taylor was one of those rare people who didn't care what anybody else thought. He was totally indifferent to the opinion of anyone else. Now, a lot of people go around saying, I don't care what people think, but they really do, at least to some extent. Not Taylor. He didn't care at all. In fact, he felt that a man of his station should do public service, but he wasn't going to go out of his way to do it. There was a vacancy in the Louisiana Senate. He felt he should stand for election, and he did, but he never left his house. He never left his front porch. He ran for the Senate, didn't deliver one campaign speech, didn't give one interview, and he was elected. While in the legislature, he did not make a single speech. His colleagues put him in charge of the Federal Relations Committee, which was a big deal, and also the Louisiana Military Affairs Committee. His opinion, his attitude was, if you want to know what I think, all you have to do is ask. And if you didn't like what he thought, well, you shouldn't have asked. Even though he had never made a speech in the legislature, he stood for re-election in the Senate. And was reelected almost unanimously. He didn't really want to serve in the Civil War, but his friend Braxton Bragg asked him to join his staff, and Taylor said he would, but only as a civilian advisor. And he helped train those troops in Pensacola. And the troops coming out of Pensacola were some of the best regiments to fight in the southern side in the Civil War. Taylor, like I say, he didn't care what anybody thought. He didn't stand for election as a regimental commander. The governor appointed him commander of the 9th Louisiana. He took it to Virginia. He arrived on the battlefield at the First Manassas a few hours after the Yankees made their hasty departure. He stayed in Virginia, and Jefferson Davis appointed him brigadier general, commander of the Louisiana Brigade. Well, Taylor didn't think he'd earned it. He hadn't seen combat, and there were other officers who had more experience than he. So he went to President Davis and asked him to rescind the appointment. Now, Davis knew him well. President Davis actually eloped with Richard Taylor's sister. And he said that what he would do is write the other regimental commanders who had been bypassed so that he could promote Taylor and ask them to accede to serving under Taylor's command. And all three of these men did so. All of them later became generals in their own right during the war. And Taylor served under Stonewall Jackson in the Valley Campaign, where he learned a lot about how to fight Yankees, and did, frankly, a brilliant job. And early on, he wanted Jackson replaced because Jackson was hard for him to deal with. But at the end of the Valley Campaign, Stonewall Jackson recommended Taylor for promotion to Major General, which they did. And they ordered him to Louisiana, which had suffered devastating defeats, especially around New Orleans. They lost the largest city in the Confederacy and were badly outnumbered 5-1. He fought them in the Lafourche and Bayou Teche campaigns. But in 1864, he had his masterpiece, the Red River Campaign. Now, this book isn't just about General Taylor. It also deals with the Red River. Taylor had 800 men, plus possibly as many as 1,000 parole violators. They were badly equipped, and they faced an army of 32,000 Yankees under Nathaniel Banks. Banks also had a navy, largest inland fleet in U.S. history up till that time, 104 vessels, including 10 heavy ironclads. Taylor attacked them at Mansfield, tore them limb from limb. Outnumbered almost 4-1, he routed them, chased them 200 miles all the way across Louisiana, surrounded them twice, almost starved them to death at Alexander, where he had them boxed in, cut off the Union fleet. It had to shoot its way out and lost some of its best vessels in the process, including the largest ship in the inland fleet, which they had to blow up to prevent Taylor from capturing it. All in all, it was one of the most brilliant campaigns in the Civil War. The Union commander, on the other hand, was Nathaniel P. Banks, who everybody called Napoleon P. Banks. He was also known as Commissary Banks. Taylor faced him when he fought with Stonewall Jackson in the Shenandoah Valley in 1862. They gave him a nickname there, Commissary Banks, because he lost so many supplies and supply wagons that he kept the Confederate Army in supplies for months. If you can imagine two armies facing each other, one is led by George S. Patton, and the other is led by Nancy Pelosi, you've got a pretty good grasp on how the Red River Campaign worked out. I think if the Confederacy had recognized Taylor's genius earlier, it might have made a difference in the outcome of the war. Had Jefferson Davis replaced Joseph E. Johnston in front of Atlanta with Richard Taylor instead of John Bell Hood, I think it's quite likely Atlanta would not have fallen by the time of the November election, and Abraham Lincoln would have been defeated. He thought he would have been if they didn't take Atlanta. He said so. And the Democrats had a peace platform, or peace plank in their platform, and we may have achieved a negotiated settlement and our independence. Anyway, this is the story of both Richard Taylor and the campaign that he launched in the Red River. And it's published by Shotwell, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.